We are on.
Welcome, everyone, to an all new episode of Talking From. We are going to discuss season 2, episode 3, titled Tether. For nefarious, horrible reasons. I am joined, as always, by my amazing, wonderful co host, Kinte. Kinte, thank you so much for joining and for being a part of this. How are you?
I am good. And you know what? I will take being amazing and wonderful.
I say it in all sincerity. It is definitely not hyperbole.
Ah,
Um, that was just to quote, our regular president right now, who oftentimes says that's not hyperbole. So, yep. Okay, so let's talk about episode 3, and let's actually take a little bit of time to, first of all, discuss the awesomeness of the pacing of the first 3 episodes altogether. We mentioned a little bit about this post or pre-show. I gotta say, I am totally with you on this. The pacing for the first 3 episodes has been pretty amazing. What are your what's your thought on that?
oh no, yes. It's the pacing is definitely changed. It's so much better. And I got it. I mean, look, I like the first season, don't get me wrong, but this is so much better. It moves better. I feel like this is a good sweet spot for the show.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think that episode 3 begins to drill down on some of the unexpected consequences of both not believing, and I'm using that word specifically, in what's happening, and also the consequences of some unintended actions which seem to rattle everyone. So let's start talking about what has happened. So Boyd basically gets back to town and he's still got these worm things under or in his arms. He's clearly not just trying to understand what's happening, but he's really questioning, how can any of this be real? And I pause on that and I'd love to get your take on it, because I do think that this is a real pivot point for Boyd. He really wants to know, how could any of this be possible? Now, with the context that he's been living through this for at least the past year, so what do you think about that? His, like, sort of almost existential crisis about not either wanting to believe or ability to believe what's happening is real.
Um, like say that. Okay, so you're asking me why
What do
does
you
he feel? Go
well,
ahead.
what do you think about Boyd's sort of existential crisis that he's having at the moment about everything being real? Because let's not forget that Abby also
Which
had
is
a
the same
similar.
crisis we're having as an audience.
Right. And when Abby had this existential crisis, remember what she tried to do? She tried to wake everybody up by killing everyone.
Right, right. You know what? What I think it is I think it's the I think it's the show trying to get us, the audience, to I don't know. I think it's like I think it's a misdirect,
Yeah?
to be honest with you. But for us, the audience. But if we want to go to just how the character, I really feel like I feel like it's not necessarily. I think it's something that we're gonna actually at some point find out that it is what it is, if that makes sense. I don't know if it is what it is makes sense, but
No, I do, and I think we alluded to this in the last episode. There is, I think, a point at which we have to either grapple with the idea that life is but a dream, or we have to accept that that's not what's happening and something else is, something that is far bigger than the comprehension that we have of the town is cluing us in on, or that we can understand at the moment. Because, okay, I'll give you my take, and then you tell me what your take is.
Okay.
I can't foresee that this is all a dream, and I'll tell you why. Because it's so much effort to put into minutia, into small clues. And the reason that that doesn't work for me is because anyone who knows anything about dreams knows that you don't pay attention to small details in your dream. The
Right.
dream is an overall concept. The dream is it's a vision of things. But like dreams, when you wake up, they flitter away. You're not aware of the small thing. There are too many small things happening here that make me think, no, that's not what's going on. But what's your take?
Yeah, I don't think it is a dream, but I think the character needs to start questioning it because it questions his sanity. Because remember, his wife or his now deceased wife went through something like that. So it's
Right.
like it's almost like even though we have the character who's going through something, I feel like it's he's almost he's starting to question, is he falling into the same thing that his now deceased wife is.
There's another aspect to this which I think that episode 3 sort of leads us into, and that is, and it's under the radar, but I feel like it is mentioned enough times that if we're not paying attention to it, we may not be understanding the full concept here. And that is Ethan continually talking, and Victor talking about this as a quest. And what does the quest mean?
Hmm.
What are the small pieces? Because if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, sometimes you get carried away by paying attention to the things that you think are important and they actually mean nothing. But then you miss the bigger contextual clues of things, and it's like, oh, well, oops, now I'm stuck. And now I have to go back and do the puzzle all over again. And there's a part of me that thinks that that might be what we're sort of seeing, is that, you can't, is that this is some kind of game, and the people who are playing the game don't understand the rules. So every time they make a move, something might happen, and that just brings them back to either square one, or gives them multiple new clues to have to deal with.
That's pretty good. That was kudos to you on that one because uh, yeah, you know what? I'm okay. I'm gonna just give you some props on that one because that is definitely not where I what I got, from it. And then listening to it, I was like, you know what? Wow, okay. So excuse
It
me, but that's pretty good. That was
I
good.
I mean, it, like I said in our last
See, that's why you're in
podcast,
the podcasting Hall of Fame. That's all I'm saying.
it's it's all conjecture. Everything right now is just conjecture. But I do think that, look, we've all seen enough mystery type shows to
Right.
know that oftentimes we get sort of a preview to what they're trying to say without saying it out loud. And From is just trying to, in some ways, be the most bombastic of that by giving us as many clues as they possibly can without giving us any context as to what they mean, or what the people need to pull from them. So everything that we've experienced feels like it may be important even when we don't know how. um I'm gonna go
I feel
jump.
like
I'm gonna
Scooby Doo. I feel like Scooby Doo. A clue.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too. At the end, if we pull off the mask and it was just, yeah, no, we won't even go there. Well, let's not go there.
You meddling kids.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Um, okay, let's jump over to Tabitha real quick, because in this episode, Tabitha really begins to start manifesting some sort of bizarre things, just like Ethan did. Ethan
Mhm.
saw the little boy in white, and so does Victor, right?
Right.
Tabitha now sees these two little kids who basically are following her around. And I'm
which
not
is
100.
quite frightening.
Yeah, they are, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I mean, they smile, which is, I think, terrifying. Um, and one of
Why
the
is it when kids
girls,
smile in movies and TV stuff, it's like frightening?
because you don't know what they're up to,
That's
because it
true.
could be something completely honest, or it could be something absolutely mischievous, and you'll never see it coming.
Hmm.
But one thing to remember is, when she sees, when Tabitha sees this little girl, one of the little girls, it's the same little girl that she saw in the catacomb.
Right.
So now the question that I have is, are those different? Well, clearly they have to be different than the creatures that come at night, right? Because the
Right.
creatures that come at night are, first of all, they're bloodthirsty
Hmm.
and they attack, and these people don't seem to. And secondly, they're all children.
Yeah. Which
So
I don't think they are necessarily the same as the the creatures that we, you know what I mean?
yeah.
They seem to be on, I don't want to say on our side, but they seem to be maybe not negative.
Well, and I think it might take Tabitha a little bit of time to figure this out. Victor figured it out because when there was the huge slaughter, and at the very beginning, when Victor was a child, we see that in the flashback, it was the boy in white that basically brings him to safety.
Right.
And so Tabitha, I don't think, has identified that there's anything good that can happen, but she also hasn't shared her vision with Ethan yet. And so I don't think that Ethan and Tabitha have had the conversation about the boy in white on a level that kind of works, because Victor said something to Ethan, I think, like about keeping it secret or not talking about it, whatever. Um, okay. I'm going to say, though, that this is what feels like, that is, I guess I'm going to call it like the Victor effect. Once people start to see the otherworldly stuff that's going on here, it feels like their break with trying to rationally figure stuff out ends. And that's, I think, the biggest breakthrough, because up to this point, Tabitha has basically been trying to, like, rationalize where the power is coming from, rationalize what's
Right.
underneath the house. And I think we're done with that with Tabitha. I don't think she can go back anymore, because,
But I think the audience needed that,
yeah,
like,
oh, I do too.
yeah. So that was more
Absolutely.
for us. Well, from a writer point of view.
And the same thing now is happening with Jade, right? Because
Uh huh.
Jade is still trying to puzzle things out. But he's trying to puzzle things out in a way that just kind of annoys people and makes people upset. Even Victor, who was once his ally, right? Now, after he ransacked his room and stole his violin, and now Victor's like, stay away from me. I don't want to have anything to do with you. That seems to be important, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Because
I
he's
mean, go ahead.
no, yeah. Because see, I'm keep going back and forth. Like, do you think that he knows a lot more than he's putting on?
I think, okay, so I think Victor does know a lot more,
Uh huh.
but I think it's locked in Victor's mind in the way that, if you were to ask a child to
Hmm.
describe an intersection that had, multiple cars and pedestrians and things, they probably would only be able to hone in on one detail at a time. And I
Right.
think that that's what's happening with Victor. His mind works very much like a child's mind, instead of like an adult's mind with very rational, sort of critical thinking.
Hmm.
And I mean, you kind of get the sense that after living here for so long, he's seen so much death and trauma that he probably doesn't have a really good fix on what's happening overall, just being able to piece together clue by clue. Hey, here's a connection with this because remember I saw this. Let's not also forget, because boy, do I ever keep going back to this. I had a dream about this actually once. Let's not forget that it's Victor that was out there measuring the trees because he thinks the trees are moving.
Right.
Yeah, what's that about? Like, that tells me that Victor has been there long enough to recognize patterns in how fast the trees are moving. Um, that just feels really weird. Also, the other thing is, remember his hideaway that we saw in episode 2?
Yes.
Victor's hideaway has, like I had said before, it's been there for a long time. He has a whole other house set up when he needs refuge. That can't be because he doesn't know that, when things are going to go down, he needs a place to retreat to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah, he knows way more than he's letting on. But I
I think
don't
he
know
just
if it's, yeah, like you said, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's enough to
Well, I think
really.
he can't put the pieces together, right? Remember the quest, if we look at this like the quest, he's like the he's like the knowledgeable um person on your quest that if you ask them a question, they know the answer in the moment, but they can't necessarily put all of those pieces together to help you solve the puzzle because they only know just their own small part. But he knows so many small parts. Like, do I think that Victor knows what those symbols mean? Yeah, I kind of do. But do
Mm,
I think that Jade totally blew his chance to figure it out by messing with Victor's violin? Yep, I think that is exactly what just happened.
mm,
So, until we can get back to that, and the rest of the town kind of treats Victor like he's not an outcast, but they keep distance from him. He's weird. He's not exactly one of them. And that I think leads to a lot of they can't possibly be able to figure anything out because they never really get close enough to him. They don't communicate with him,
mm-hmm.
right? I don't know. That's just what I keep seeing. Um. Okay. So uh, Jim ends up in the hospital ward, right?
Right.
And let's talk about what Jim ends up seeing. So, uh, first of all, yeah, I don't know what the heck is up with that lady that comes in to see him. What did you think about that? Because that creeped me right the heck out.
Yeah, yeah, she's something else, this lady.
Like, is she really just like everybody else, or does she know something?
I think she knows something.
I
At
got that
least,
feeling too.
yeah, that's what I get the feeling is that she knows something. Hopefully she's not just a red herring, that she's actually in fact there, that there's something to her.
I'm gonna hope so because I mean, she, you know what? She has the affect of the people in the woods. She has the affect of like being that overconfident, smiley person,
Hmm.
which just really did not sit very well with me at all. Um, so okay, so we move sort of back and forth. Ellis and Kenny have been out looking to reset the traps. Um, and Ellis wants to pick flowers for Fatima because basically he thinks now's the time to propose. Because, of course, how do you follow up a night of everybody being killed? Propose
Oh
to the
yeah,
person that you love. I mean, it makes perfect
that's what
sense.
I would do.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's more that poor Ellis, I think he feels like he's on the precipice of impending doom with Fatima and that she's losing everything that makes her who she is, and he's just trying to somehow bring a little bit of normalcy, bring some kind of hope back to who she is by proposing. And I mean, it makes sense, it does. um but he's out there picking flowers, and it turns out that the traps are set with these little pieces of rebar, or good sized pieces of rebar. And as they're out there, they come across a lady who is pinned to a tree with a piece of rebar through her head. Now, at first, it looks like maybe she's dead, but of course, no, she's not.
Yeah, yeah.
And the episodic title this time around is Tether. She's tethered to the tree. Um, there's a lot of other tethers in this episode, but that's the big one. And so they start talking to her, and she says that the creatures came in and that they pulled them both out, and that they basically put her on the tree so that she could watch what was happening. I don't know how to feel about that, but what did you think about that particular piece? Do you think that there's a reason that they did that, or do you think that that's just like, because have we ever heard about this happening before?
No, it seems like it's extra cruel, even
Mm.
for them. Like uh, I don't know. There, that's very different than what we've seen from them. I
I
don't,
was a little bit confused by that. Like,
Mhm.
that seemed, yeah, not just extra cruel, but also, um, what is a good word for that? It felt like there was some point of generating, maybe emotion, fear, I don't know,
Yeah,
something
it seems like
along,
a big change
right? It felt
from
like a
what.
departure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed by that particular piece. But it's horrific, and they run back. Ellis runs back to get, um no, I'm sorry, is it Kenny? Kenny runs back to get
Yeah,
Christy.
Kenny.
And so Christy comes out. Christy's our paramedic. She comes out and she's like, "Okay, well, look, there really is nothing that we can do here. This person is going to die." And I'm still very overwhelmed sometimes by the fact that they are so adamant that they have to bring their people back to be buried, that they do not leave them out there, that they're very vigilant about not leaving bodies anywhere. I really feel like that is so, it's very striking. It's very striking to me.
Hmm.
And so absolutely end up uh they end up killing her, when they try to pull her off of the tree. And everybody knows that that's what's going to happen. Here's what I want to know. Just before Boyd shows up, almost as if the proximity of Boyd is doing this, she starts to scream.
Right,
What's
as if
that about?
yeah, as if that there's something going on there. I don't know what is. I mean, I don't know what to think about that one because look, Boyd. Boyd is he is he's a character in which they that some he just got that bite.
Right?
So it makes me wonder, is there something there that's giving him some sort of insight that we didn't know? You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
So let's y- somebody brought this up to me, and I don't remember exactly how to form this
Uh-huh.
into like the right way to say it, but what they said was, um the names of the two characters that we just that the girl and the guy, the names of those two characters form the name of the first guy that Boyd ever saw die in war. And we know
Right,
that because Boyd mentioned it, right?
right.
And all of a sudden now, coincidences don't feel like coincidences.
Yeah, definitely not at all.
right? So that piece also seemed kind of important. I do, I found it really funny. Not funny, haha, but funny, like, wow.
Ironic.
Yeah, I guess. I don't even know if I found it ironic as much. It was just like, this is crazy. Um, Boyd, when he first shows up, says, "You guys go. I'll handle this."
Right. Like he was gonna shield them from
Yeah. And, as touching as I think that was, I also feel like, has Boyd not been paying attention? Everybody has been so traumatized that there's no such thing as this trauma not touching you. Like, I get where he's trying to come from, but I also feel like, I don't know. I sometimes Boyd seems so misguided in his effort to try to help people that I feel like he's giving them all the wrong help.
hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but it does feel like that to me. Um, I I I I have to wonder. She says she hears something, the
Hmm.
girl, right? I have to wonder if whatever is happening with the worms in Boyd is not creating that sound, and that sort of goes back to what I was saying before about how when he's in the forest, maybe the creatures, maybe they resonate, maybe that sound is something that they resonate with. I don't know, but it did seem really strange. I think that whole event sequence was really crazy. I don't know, what were your feelings about it, like, start to finish? They find the girl, they have to pull her off the rebar. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we talked about this a little briefly. It's disgusting. Like um, the whole thing with I don't, I'm not a fan of that. It's really gross.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy gross, you know what I mean? So um just, and it's so sad because I knew the minute she was, she was alive that it was going to end with her dying, because I mean, what else was going to happen, this is a, it's a, but it was something that needed to happen. I mean, something that was going to happen. So,
Right.
and then when she's screaming, when they put, oh God, it was tragic.
It was, but we don't know if she was like, was she screaming in pain? I don't know, but or was she screaming because Boyd was next to them?
I think she was screaming in pain. I mean, it
Yeah,
looked
probably. I
painful.
mean, if somebody tried to pull a rebar thing out of my head, yeah, I'd probably be in pain too.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So let's talk about Kenny. Kenny goes to the church, Father
Hmm.
Katya's church, and he is looking for something, I think, for a eulogy, right?
Right.
And he hears something in the basement. He goes down to investigate, and lo and behold, he sees Sarah.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think's up with that?
What do I think is going on with Sarah?
Yeah, why is she hiding out in the church basement?
Because I think that's the only place where there's any kind of refuge,
Yeah, I definitely think uh that there is something. I think Sarah probably came back. I don't know if she came back to the church from the faraway tree, but if she came back, this would be the only place that she would probably think that somebody wouldn't come to find her, right? Because
Right.
everybody hates her right now. She was gonna kill Ethan.
Right.
So she's not exactly,
She's not beloved.
she's sort of person non grata in the town.
Right.
Um, but Boyd is absolutely convinced that she knows something because she seems to have some kind of, you know, town whisperer aspect to her, and nobody seems to be able to figure out whatever that is. I want to sort of just, you know, end with this episode. Despite the fact that we didn't have a ton of action, the stakes felt really high in this episode, high for everybody, including Donna, who basically, inside of her greenhouse tells Boyd, look, I don't think I can take much more of this. We all can't take any more of this. But for Donna to break down and admit that
And she's tough
feels,
as nails too.
yeah, like we were saying in the last podcast. I mean, she's so badass in some scenes. And for her to break down and tell Boyd that, it feels like, that is really significant. And especially at a time when Boyd is questioning the reality of everything, it feels like we are on a collision course for some pretty hard times ahead, I guess I should say. So what did you think overall of this episode?
Oh, I thought it was excellent. I mean, I thought that it was very well done. I feel like the show is. I mean, I feel like the show always had looked good,
Right.
but I thought that this one did a really good job.
I will say one of the things that I think that this episode did particularly well was give us a connection between our main characters and a newfound understanding of the world that they're in. That is, the old rules may not apply as much as they think that they previously did. The
Mhm.
creatures want to play with them. There's a lot more.
That sounds so funny when you say it like
It
that.
does,
They want to
but it's true,
play.
right? They just
Yeah.
wanna play.
Just wanna-
There's a maliciousness to things that feel like it's taken a new turn, um, and it and it and it also feels like the characters are coming to a new reality. Ooh, one more thing. Gotta say this. Uh, Tabitha, when she was in the catacombs, she saw a structure, and who was building that structure on the porch but Ethan? Ethan said, I think it's a puzzle. And he builds this like little structure. That structure was something that Tabitha saw underneath the ground.
Right.
So is that a new talisman? Is it, what is it?
Mhm.
Another another quest piece, I guess. Um I personally loved this episode. I thought it was great. I
Yeah.
feel like
Listen.
it picked up exactly where it was supposed to pick up. Um, it does not feel like it feels to me like from so far, even reaching back into season one, but now, moving into season two, has not lost any magic. In fact, it is, if anything, picked up a lot. And that is, I think, sometimes kind of rare, because sometimes you get a first season and then the second season can be slightly lackluster because it feels like, well, you're not really sure where they're going to pick up and things don't maybe totally align.
Sophomore
And
slump.
yeah, the correlations don't quite match. And From is doing an amazing job of, being sort of like a roadmap to telling a puzzle story. I absolutely really, really love it. So, um, do you have any other comments about this particular episode?
No, I just thought that, like, I agree with you. I thought the episode was excellent, and looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to what's to come next.
Yeah, me too. I haven't heard how many episodes are in this
That was 10.
season. Is it 10? Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got a while to go, which feels pretty good. I got to mention one other thing that I really thought was great about this episode. I love the way that Boyd put his de-escalation skills on full display with the guy from the bus who
Right.
wanted to like take the guns. I love that because it really shows us why Boyd is in the position that he's in. It's not just that he's tough, it's that he understands how to talk to people. I really thought that that was good. So,
Yeah.
you can find me over at moviesandmeals.com. You can also join me for my other podcasts, including 10 to 1 and Storyteller Power Hour, over at wadcomedia.com. We do those weekly, and I'd love for you to follow and join us for them. Kinte, how can we find you?
You can get me at Kente F on Twitter and Kente Ferguson on Instagram. And I just want to say, look, I'm looking forward to this next season,
Me too. This
or
is
this
actually
season, not next
this
season.
season.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to next season too. I mean, they've got so much that I don't think they can wrap everything up in this little time span. So let's
I,
hope that they opt for another season.
I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I had a great time. I hope you'll join us for the next episode coming this coming week and let us know what you think.
Bye.